Hi there, crafty friends. Welcome and thank you for joining me. Today, I thought we would make an Easter card using Waffle Flowers postage collage, egg hunt stencil, and our postage collage die. So this stencil set is a 5-piece stencil set. I'm going to bring in my sticky mat, and I really like using my Sweet Petunia corner aligner lately. So we're going to place that down. We'll get our paper in that corner. And then we are going to take our first stencil, which is our background, and we are just going to put that to the back. I want to do that one last instead of first. And we're going to get our first stencil in there, and I will use just a little bit of tape to hold that in place. And I have a whole slew of colors here. I have actually 15 different colors because I want shading. And so I'm going to start out with Sunshine, and we're going to be masking also. I want my egg a little bit different and my birdhouse different. And so let's just bring in Sunshine and color in our little chick. For my birdhouse, I am going to start with Warm Buff, and I will just color that in. And I think for my butterflies up here, I also want those yellow. So we'll color those in with Sunshine. And we're going to be doing shading. I know I want my carrot to be orange, so let's mask off one of those eggs, and we can do our carrot and the egg at the same time. For that, I'm going to bring in Clementine, and we're going a little bit lighter, not super heavy. I think just like that is probably pretty good. We can tell that is orange. Then I'm going to bring in Persimmon, and we'll just highlight that carrot around the edge along with that egg, just to give it a little shading. All the colors I used today will be listed and linked in the description below. Let's also bring in some sweet mustard and add some highlights to our chick and our butterflies. And on my chick, I am just going over his little wings with sweet mustard. And then we've got our Easter egg here. And I know I want that to be pink, so let's bring in our bubble gum. And I will do the whole thing in bubble gum. And then we will bring in Raspberry Bliss and just hit the edges of that Easter egg. I want all the colors on this card to be super vibrant. You know, and we have just a little over a month to get our Easter cards made. We have one more egg here. Let's go ahead and do that one. Bubblegum and Raspberry Bliss also, just like that. We can move on to our next stencil. Let's do our birdhouse first. And for this, I am bringing in dough, but I'm going to mask those flower centers because I want those to be green. So we'll bring in dough for the trim on our little birdhouse here. Then we can take that mask off and let's do some grassy knoll for our flower centers. And you could always do just one color for each stencil, but I like to be a little different. I want lots of shading in here. Let's bring Persimmon in for our carrot. And that's our carrot in the corner. We're doing just accents on that, and we want it really dark. We've got 3 eggs here, and I'm going to mask off the first one. I want Sunshine. Then I'll accent that just a little bit at the tip with sweet mustard. I will move my masks, and let's make this larger egg purple. Let's bring in Hydrangea, And then we will accent that with opulence. Then we've got our bunny ears, and I want to make sure that I keep those nice and light. So we're coming in with bubble gum. I'm going to make sure I tap off that brush, and I'm going to come in really light-handed on those bunny ears. And then the same thing for my little chick ears, because he's going to have a little bunny hat on. So I want to keep those nice and light. For my third egg, we're going to come in with sky blue. We'll just get a little color on there and then accent with storm. I'll bring back in that sunshine for my egg. And then for my little chick, I think I want that heart to be pink. So we'll mask his little beak. And we'll fill in that heart. Then his little beak, I will bring in persimmon, and that's already looking so cute. You can see what all the images are going to be. We can bring in our next stencil. For my egg, you know what? Let's do our egg first, and we'll just mask that off. I want to use hydrangea and opulence. Let's come in light with hydrangea. And then add some opulence towards the top and the bottom of that egg. Let's do our little chick, and we'll bring in sweet mustard and just give a little bit more accent to those wings. And I will also come back in with that hydrangea. I think I've actually got some opulence on here for my flower. And then the rest will be green. So let's just mask off anything that's not green. And for the green, I will bring in grassy knoll and then highlight just a little bit with olive. And for that, I am bringing in my 1/4-inch brush just so I can get in those little tiny areas. I want to highlight those leaves and that grass. And I'm just coming in at the upper portion of those grass blades. In all reality, it probably should be the bottom portion, but I did the top. And look at those bright spring colors. That is so pretty. Then we've got our next stencil, which is a branch, some more grass, and then our little chick eyes. And I want my little chick's eyes to be dark. So let's bring in dough. And then our branch will also be dough, but I will be coming in with a little bit of gathered twigs just to add some accent to that. We've also got a little piece right here on our house, and we will do that in dough. This is the little perch, and then that little heart. I got a little bit of that dough in there, but that's okay. We're going to color that with bubble gum, just like that. Super quick. And there is nothing on our egg to color this time. Then we can do our grass. And we're coming in with grassy knoll first, just like last time. And then we'll highlight with our olive. I hope everybody is doing well. You know, there's some crazy weather across the US. With blizzards and snowstorms. You know, we haven't had any snow this year. Usually we've had 1 or 2 storms by now, and we haven't had any snow. Right above us, they had snow, but we didn't get any where I live. I wanted to make sure that we got a Easter card done this year. I just love this little chick. It is so cute. So cute. And then we've got our final stencil, which is actually stencil number 1, but we moved it to the back. And this is our background. And I have seen some cards where they did each section background a different color, but I'm going to keep it pretty simple because we've already done so much masking. I am just going to come in with sky blue, and we're going to keep it fairly light. And then if you want to, you can come back in with a little bit of storm and add just a little bit of highlight around those edges, just to get us a little glow. Not too heavy. I did get a little aggressive down here in this corner with my brush, but I think it'll be okay. I think that'll smooth out. And that is our final stencil. And that is so cute. So we can get that off of there and bring in our die. And I just lined that right up along the colored edges. And we are almost ready to assemble. And I want to put my card on a background. So I have brought in my A2 additional piercing layers die. I took the largest and I have cut several different background colors. Oh, that light pink is really cute. Do we want light pink or yellow? Let's go light pink. I have my mini Misty all set up here with sentiments, and I want to stamp on here. I'm going to look at that. I can put my magnet right in there without hitting anything. Get that lined up in the corner. And for my sentiments here, I'm using a combination of two different stamp sets. I've got the original postage collage stamp set, and then I've got the Egg Hunt postage collage stamp set. I've got those all placed in my Misty, and I need to make sure that I get some powder on here. Then I will come in with my VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and we will get our stamps inked up, and we will probably need to do this twice. Then we will add our clear embossing powder, and you don't have to do this step. You can just stamp with black ink, but I do like the shine of a good embossed image. And then we can heat that up, and that is so cute. I've got the little Egg Hunt stamp right over the eggs. Then we've got You're the Cutest Chick Around, Happy Easter, and that card is done. So we've got quite a bit of foam tape on here. We've got foam tape behind our postage edge die and behind my light pink layering panel. So we've got too thick of foam tape there. I went ahead and I added some green essential gems from Spellbinders, and my sentiment came from the Egg Hunt sentiment strip, and I just love it. That is so cute. I've also got one that I did here with a much darker background. I used much more of the storm, whereas here I only went really light-handed with it, and I think they are both perfect. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Please leave me a comment. Please give me a thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.